Nelson girl, I've been gone for a minute now. I'm back with the jump off. Y'all have to bear with me while I get back on this saddle because it's been a while since I rode this thing. And I ain't been writing no other things either because I'm classy and I run a sanctified and saved house while I study up under Iyanla. Do Jesus. And speaking of, did you get into this two-part episode of Iyanla Fix My Life with Leandria Johnson? This was a very, very, very interesting episode, and there was so much that I took away from it. Forgive me in advance if my thoughts are all over the place because I didn't take any notes and I'm going off of what I saw 2 days ago. But I'm speaking from muscle memory and what I remembered most. And there are two things that I want to touch on from this episode. The church and how living up to the expectation of what being a part of the church says you must be and do, and that's how Leandria has part of Leandria's struggle. Then the other part too is keeping people around you who benefit from you financially but mean you no well. And so this was also a relatively personal episode of Fix My Life for me because I know Phil Thornton, which was Leandria's label manager, label executive. I know him personally through R&B Divas. And then Robert, who was her booking agent, I know him from Atlanta socially. We've hung out several times, gone to dinner, gone for cocktails, hung out around the house several times. And he's a very cool person. Shout out to Phil and Robert. But I noticed some very interesting things that we should talk about. Number one, did you notice that Phil and Robert never filmed together? Or there was never any intervention with Leandria that involved both Phil and Robert, the two people who were supposedly, very close to her. My suspicion tells me that when Phil was talking about you need to change the people around you, that he was talking about Robert. Now here's what's sad, and I'm going to have to remove me knowing Robert personally from the equation because he's probably not going to take too kindly to the things that I have to say, but I've got to be objective in this moment. When I was watching the show and Iyanla was asking Robert about her call time, why is she late, what happened, and he started covering for her and stuttering and trying to fill in the blanks when Iyanla was asking very direct questions, my spidey senses went off and was like, oh, this is one of those people on her team that she needs to let go. And so if you noticed, when Iyanla asked Robert and told Robert, your reputation is on the line too. This is your client, and if she's showing up late, this, that, and the third, you need to drop her as a client. And then you see how Robert got real uncomfortable. It was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And in that moment, and this is no shade to Robert, in that moment, my spirit said, he eating off her. He's eating off of her. And that's why he accommodates her bad behavior. And that's why he's not going to drop her as a client, because he about ain't got no other damn clients. Because the thing about it is, somebody who got a roster full of clients and they eating from all over the place, they're not going to put up with an unruly client. And to be quite honest, I wonder how much of Leandria being in an altered state of mind truly benefits Robert financially from a place of manipulation. Like when somebody ain't in their right mind, you can pad and cover and sway them to do things that benefit you. And here's what's funny. When Iyanla brought Leandria back into the equation, and her and Robert were both sitting there, and she told Leandria to fire Robert, again, it was a very uncomfortable situation, but I like the fact that Iyanla did get Leandria to realize that Robert was one of the people who were around her. And I'm not going to say Robert didn't mean her no well. I think, like Iyanla said, I think he was the best friend to her he could be. But it is very hard sometimes to separate friendship from business. And that's why I adopted a general rule in my business that no matter what, I just won't hire friends or family. Like before I hire a family member to work with me, I'd rather just put them on a retainer and just give them a couple $100s a month and keep it separate from my business. Because no matter what, Friendship and business gets enmeshed, emotions get involved. Once I know you my friend, I know you got 4 kids to feed, but you horrible to my business. Now I feel too guilty to fire you, because if I fire you, you ain't gonna be able to feed your 4 kids. It just gets real messy and convoluted. So, you know, Leandria and Robert's relationship, for me, drew a lot of parallels between Whitney Houston and Pat, and all these other celebrities who have people around them who have a financial interest in this person. That's why Whitney was able to die. That's why Pat didn't do all they could do. They didn't. Pat them did not want to piss Whitney off for fear that Whitney would cut their ass off and keep them off the roster. They said just enough to not get fired. And again, had Pat been working and Gary been working and getting their finances from their own damn place, they would have been able to be objective and good family members to Whitney versus let's not piss her off because that's how we living in this mansion. Whitney and so many other celebrities. The bigger point that I want to move into, the religious piece. I've never had this conversation with y'all, and so I guess we'll have it now. For the umpteenth time, a lot of people sometimes when I say things about religion, they be like, well, you know, who am I? You don't believe in God. I thought you didn't believe in God and you didn't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in religion, okay? I don't believe in the institution of the church. It is man-made. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the Bible. I recognize that there are things from the Bible that everybody can take and apply to their life that is good, but it's just not my belief system. I do believe in God, okay? I do not believe in white Jesus. I do not. Now, what Iyanla helped me realize, and where Leandria went wrong, and this is where I've gone wrong in the past, and I'm going to apologize for it, that you can criticize without condemning. And I had to realize there is a way that I can be critical of the church, Christianity, the Bible, those who practice under those doctrines, and not condemn or be nasty or be flippant at the mouth, so on and so forth. It's simply just not my belief system. Here is why it isn't my belief system. My grandmother belonged to the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ of the Apostolic Faith. It was a very devout, church. Women wear their heads covered. They couldn't wear pants. They prayed with a prayer veil. Growing up, we were not allowed to watch music videos or comedy shows or listen to the radio. Like, just very, very strict religious practices. And I can remember being a kid being like, my grandma didn't celebrate Christmas or any religious holiday or whatever. I can remember being a kid being like, this is stupid. Like, all the other kids got Christmas gifts. All the other kids are outside playing. Everybody on TV, all of America is participating in Christmas and listening to the radio. And I was taught that doing any of those things, you go to hell. So I can remember being 6 years old, being the critical thinker that I am, and saying, this doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. But this is what I was told, and I didn't have a voice at that time, so I had to go along with it, but I was confused. Then when you add the sexuality layer to it, I'm gay. And religion was used to tell me from the time I was born that I am going to hell. Something is wrong. I have a demon in me. God is not pleased with my ways. God is not pleased with who I am. And, I went through like at least a 15-year period of like hating myself. I hated myself because I'm not pleasing God. I'm going to hell. I got these feelings that I can't get rid of. And somewhere like in early college, when I got in an environment, a college environment that's a bit more liberal, and you see people from all walks of life, and I came in contact for the first time with other openly gay people, another light bulb went off, and that light bulb said, you can't help this. And you were told all your life that God did not like this and you going to hell, but you were born this way. So wait a minute. If what you were told about being gay was wrong, and you found it to be erroneous, what else were you taught that's faulty or erroneous? So then I just started going through different things I was taught, different lessons, different lectures I got. And I was like, wait a minute, this is all some fucking baloney. And I'm like, since when is religion supposed to be used to hurt people or to make people feel shitty about them damn selves? And even if it is not of God, I should be loved and accepted anyway, right? And so then that's when I just started deconstructing all this stuff. And then at that point, for me, once I found 2 or 3 defects in it all, I had to throw the whole thing away. I was like, this whole situation is just wrong. So y'all, that's the very first time I've opened up and told y'all my whole story about religion, and that's just why I don't mess with it at all. I am of the mindset that it is all man-made and, based on the interests of the people who created it. Nevertheless, applying that to Leandria. Leandria is very conflicted. She's very conflicted. She was talking about how, everybody in the church is phony, the church people, da 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 da. And, Christian people, I find oftentimes they try to make this whole distinction between the church folks, and you're not mad with the church. You're mad with the people in the church. But the thing about it is the church is made of the people in the church. And it's very hard to go actively participate in the church when 3/4 of the church are church folk. And you're trying to only focus on the church, but you got 75% of the people over here with a mindset. It's a toxic environment for anybody. And I understand why Leandria is conflicted. Now, the question that I have for you guys, let me back up. I respect the fact that Leandria does not want to be a gospel artist anymore, and I completely understand why she doesn't want to be. Because she's conflicted in trying to live her best authentic life within the confines of the church. And to be quite honest, it's impossible. And the question that I have for y'all is, why can I not be a gospel singer, be a member of a figure in the church, and drink Hennessy, go to the club, like to twerk, and like to smoke weed? Like, why can't I be? If those are the things that I honestly like to do, and I'm not hurting anybody. And I think the issue in 2019, we live in such a liberal world right now with social media, and everybody just wants to be free, that it is hard to be your authentic self and have to wear a dress that's below your knees, and can only eat this and can't drink this and can't go this place and can't say this publicly. And here's what we're finding out, right? People in the church people, pastors, deaconesses, they are no different than the whores in the club, the pimps and the players on the corner, or the regular person that just go to church. The difference is they do a better job of hiding their bullshit. And that's where the hypocrisy in the church comes in at, and where a lot of people get turned off. Because I know people personally who are big in the church, hold positions, they are preaching one thing, and then when they get around the church people, they come around my house, they cutting up and doing another. I know I've got friends, very close friends, who are gay as all outdoors, take it all up the ass by multiple men at the same damn time, and then go to church and preach this message of God don't like it, or this is not, or when people are talking ill of gays in the church, they just sit back and be quiet and act like it don't apply to them when they had just got fucked in the ass the night before. And it's just, I think the church rules sometimes can be so constraining and confining that it makes it hard for people to be them authentic selves. And I think there's a direct correlation between you being deep in the church and being a hypocrite, because you have to be in order to survive. There are just things as humans that we like to do. We like to feel good. We like to fuck. Most of us like to drink and have a good time. We all like to cuss. And we all like to let loose and have fun sometimes. And because it doesn't fit the image of the church, and you don't want to be shamed or shunned and all this other kind of shit, it creates a situation where people can't live honestly, so they must live like hypocrites. Look at Pastor John Gray. And Christian folks got an idiom. Church folks, they got a saying for everything. Oh, he's only human. Forgive him, for he not know what he doing. It's just the flesh. He's a man too. And my thing is, as a logical and as a critical thinker, isn't it safe to say that the person who is delivering the message is supposed to be saving our souls should just be a couple notches more saved than us? Like, if you're the teacher and you're teaching me mathematics, you need to be better at fractions than I am, correct? If you're my college professor teaching world history, you need to know more about world history than me, the student, right? So it's the same thing with religion. If you're going to preach and practice to me on the principles of honesty, integrity, living by the Lord's word, and how I'm supposed to live and how I'm supposed to honor my wife, then you should be 2 notches more of an example than me, who needs the word. And when you're not, it makes people like me, Leandria, and other people who are on the fence about religion and the church, it makes us second guess you and side eye you. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, those were the 2 largest things that I got from this Fix My Life episode. I mean, we could go on and on and on this religion piece. You know, the alcoholic piece, I'm glad that she came to realize that she was alcoholic and reluctantly went to get help. Now, I'm going to tell you something. My spirit tells me Leandria is still drinking. Leandria went to them 2 damn classes, and she back came home and said, look, I'm just going to do a better job at managing my drinking. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? When I was going through my drug and alcohol struggles, you know, I made a conscious choice to give up the drugs. I didn't want to give up the alcohol. And so I went to classes and I did talk to people. And I figured out that there is a way that you can still enjoy alcohol without going overboard and without it leading to other things. Then again, I didn't have, I don't know, what some people could argue that I had the same problem she did. I don't know. But my spirit tell me Leandria is still home drinking, just not as much, and she making sure that she don't do it in front of the people who gonna hold her accountable. And that's the only thing, Leandria. Place boundaries in place and meet them. And meet your professional obligations, and then sit down and have you a cocktail. Meet me down to the bar with a Honda Cosby, and we can find us a forever. See, if she had a forever right now, fucking her good to Shirley Caesar or James Cleveland, she wouldn't have time to be drinking all the damn time because her mouth would be full of cash. And last but not least, going back to the part, one last thing I want to make, that signed, sealed, and delivered, that, you know, I don't think Robert was the best person to be around her, is that when Leandria said, I don't want to sing gospel music anymore. And then Robert was like, no, what you mean is, it's like, no, don't put words in this lady's mouth, because his whole thing is, if she's not singing gospel, and that's the arena that Robert works in, he can't book her, and he can't eat. Thus, no, you really want to sing gospel. You want to sing gospel. You know, I hope their friendship is still intact, but I do hope that Leandria did rebuild her team. At any rate, that's a girl. I'm going to get in and make some more videos as I slowly start to get back into the groove of things. And I'll call you later, girl.